Arkansas's Sam Pittman will be next. The Hogs will host LSU on Saturday at 6 o'clock Central on ESPN. To ask a question for Coach Pittman, please use the raise hand function at this time. And Coach, while we wait on those questions, if you could please take a moment to comment on your team as they enter this week's home game versus LSU.
Well, we're excited to be back home, excited for a night game here once again, playing an outstanding LSU team that has everything, great offensive line, receivers, tight ends, running back, quarterback. Nussmeier's playing extremely well defensively. Their two defensive end are outstanding, interior, good players, linebackers. They just got a really good team and are playing at a high level. And I think they've won maybe 4 or 5 in a row now. And Coach Kelly's got them rolling. So it'll be a huge test for us. But we're excited to, like I said before, play at home and get to play a game off a bye week.
First up, we have Trey Biddy of HawgBeat.com.
Yeah, Coach, I was just wondering about Talon, how he's looked these last couple of days, and if you're encouraged by it.
I have been encouraged about how he's practiced. He's still not full speed yet, but we certainly think there's a possibility that he can get there. We'll have to wait and see there. Obviously we have 2 more practices and a walk, but have been encouraged about his progression this week.
You were asked about freshman redshirting and stuff on Monday, but I was wondering if there's any freshmen that might be getting close to helping you a little bit more, kind of like we've seen Braylon get incorporated more. Is there any other guys that we could see?
Charlie Collins, I think he's coming on, and I think he can help us. I'm trying to think here. Any other freshmen? I don't know right now who else that would be in that category, Trey. If I'm thinking off the top, Bradshaw might be another one that has played that we feel like can move into a more significant role as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Sam, I'm wondering, winning a game that was tight that came down to the very end, what that might do for your team, because you had not done that in the other 2 really tight games this season.
Well, we didn't have any turnovers, so that obviously helps. And so that puts in their mind that, if we can keep the ball and we can get turnovers, we have a lot better chance to win. So I think that was huge because we preached it, and then it became real, and we were able to win. Confidence, I think it's about the process of what it's done for us is put us confidence in that if we'll do the process of weekly preparation and take it one day at a time and have a good Monday and have a good Tuesday and so forth, that we're able to play our best ball. And if we'll play our best ball, we've got a fine team. And I think that's probably more than even the confidence of winning. It was the confidence that we had the process works if we'll continue to do it that right way.
Gotcha. I don't know how much feedback you get from fans, but there's certain fans that would say the Texas game is going to be the biggest rivalry that now that they're back on the schedule and in conference. But there's some generations of Arkansas fans who might consider LSU that way. I just wonder, it's a trophy game. What playing LSU, the significance for you and maybe the program?
Yeah, I think any time that you have a long history with anybody that, and you spoke of Texas and certainly LSU. Anytime you have a long history of playing each other, and the proximity where we're recruiting, against each other. I think that puts a different feel towards the game. And then you throw a trophy in there. Certainly, we've talked to our kids. We had a bye week too, so we had a little bit more time. But we talked to our kids about the significance of the history of this game and what it means to the state of Arkansas. So, yeah, I think you're 100% correct.
Next, we'll go to Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Hey, Coach, on Monday you mentioned that Carmona had played his best game since coming here. I'm curious what made it his best game, and where have you seen him improve the most over these first 6 games of the season?
I think it's technique. He's always been a good athlete, but I think this was his best technique game, especially in the pass protection. And, he's always played hard and joy to be around, but played a little bit more physical. And his pass pro technique was as good as it's been this year, and I expect that to get better and better. He's going to need to be this week because they've got 2 outstanding defensive ends, but that's the answer.
And I also know that you've talked a lot about how the open date allowed y'all to get healthy and everything. I'm curious for a guy like maybe Jaquindon Jackson. He hasn't missed any games or anything, but he's been in and out, dealt with various dings and bruises. How much of a benefit is this week off maybe for a guy like that?
Well, I think it's big, and Posca and Taylor Green, we've had several. Rodney Hill, hopefully he'll have a chance to at least be available. All those guys. And, of course, we haven't played a whole lot of offensive linemen. And so the bumps and the bruises and the dings that they have, it certainly helps as well. And we were very cautious about, still having the physicality, but getting these guys healthy. Luke has, Ty Washington. There was just a whole bunch of them that Hudson Clark that we needed to get healthy that weren't. And we'll be almost, it depends on what Talon does, but we'll be just about full strength for the second half of the season.
Next, we'll go to James Carpia, the Oregonian.
Sam, wanted your perspective on Oregon's deliberate 12-man on the field penalty. If the NCAA is going to issue a rules interpretation from an offensive coach's standpoint, what should the interpretation or the change be to such a scenario?
Well, I think probably once they see 12 men, and I'm not talking about guys running off the field, that's a different scenario. But because you can take the play or not, but you're not actually playing with 12 guys. You're trying to get off the field. But I think if you see 12 on the field, I think at some point they're going to have to stop the game and, penalize someone for having 12 out there. But the rule is a rule, and Dan used it to his advantage, because there was no penalty for that, per se. There was, but the penalty didn't matter at that point in the game. So they'll have to interpret it and look at it. But certainly, I think they ought to do something about guys flopping on the field, and that's hard because you don't know if a guy's injured or if it's real, So we put a lot on those officials, but I think they're going to have to really look at that as well.
Is that a scenario you practice? Because you could argue you guys could have definitely done that theoretically at the end of the last one.
Yeah, I've been to, I think, now 12 Division I programs, and several of those programs have talked about that because the risk versus reward, the reward is much greater than the penalty. And certainly we don't do it here, but I'm not chastising anybody. It's the rule. They use it to their advantage. Is it good for college football? I don't know that. So I think they'll interpret it and get it corrected.
Thank you.
Next is the Wes Pruitt of 4-Star Sports Media.
Hey, Coach, when you look at this week's game, it's another big night game in Fayetteville. We said a couple weeks ago, Fayetteville is special, but Fayetteville at night is magic. What are you looking forward to this week in a big-time night game?
I'm looking for the fans. Our players, will be ready. LSU will be ready. I'm looking forward to the drive in and all the tents up and the people and the excitement on their face and a loud crowd. And our fans can be a major problem for opponents when we give them excitement. And so we need to start fast, get the crowd involved. They'll be involved early. We need to start fast. And it's just, I said it last week, there was nobody really had anything on that game day experience on us across the country. Now, I'm not saying that we were number one, but we were up there with all the programs in the country with atmosphere at the last time, when we played Tennessee. And I expect it to be that or even better on Saturday night.
Preparing for our next opponent. And we got a chance 24 hours to enjoy the victory against Ole Miss, but we're playing a really good opponent, well coached. They play hard. They're playing great defense offensively, very diversified, and it's going to be a great challenge on the road in the SEC. So, really our focus is our preparation this week to get ready for, a great rivalry. The last 4 games have been decided by 3 points or less, one way or the other. So we know what's in store for us as we head up to Fayetteville.
Hey, Coach Kelly, you mentioned Monday that Daniels and Hilton, a couple of receivers, might be back in the mix. Can you update them and any other health guys?
Yeah, I mean, Daniels practiced and looked good. So, I would say we're going to, probably list him as probable for Saturday. Chris was able to do some individual work. His is a day-to-day situation, so he's still questionable, but we're trending in the right direction there. In terms of, I think the rest are pretty static in terms of, where we are from an injury standpoint.
Okay. You mentioned at the top that Arkansas is playing good defense. What is it you see from schemes and maybe personnel that has led to performances, say, for Tennessee game and some others?
Well, I think they were able to control the run game with a 5-man front. And when you can do that, you can commit extra personnel to the passing game and play a lot more zone coverage, keep the ball in front of you. Very similar, scheme and philosophy from last year, but you can just see there's a lot more comfort in understanding what they're doing. There's a great buy-in. And as I said in my opening comments, this is a group that plays really hard. So coach has got them really playing, at a high level. And they obviously enjoy playing for them because you can see the extra effort in everything they're doing, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Hi, good morning, Brian. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Thank you. After the win, people have talked about you guys as now, being, you're ranked 8th in the polls, being a contender for the college football playoff, where maybe y'all weren't talked about in those terms for a while after the loss to USC. Is that something that y'all verbalize within the team, that y'all, maybe it was a stated goal before the season, but now that you're in the season, is it something that y'all verbalize, or you just, like you said, focus on the very good opponent, from week to week and leave it at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Scott, you'd have to look at it from both perspectives, right? I mean, we were not even ranked in some polls when we had beaten South Carolina. We were talked about as being a team that didn't deserve to be ranked. And, if the kids listened to that, then that they wouldn't continue to work hard and try to improve. And so the same is true as if you listen to what people talk about relative to you're going to the playoffs, then then the same would happen, right? You're not going to put in the extra time and work. So we really stay away from all of the chatter and really focus on what's most important. And the most important thing is how you prepare each week to put together your best performance. So this group has been down this road before. There's a lot of veteran guys. I know we're playing a lot of young guys, but there's enough leadership with the group that really leads them in the right direction. And that is the most important thing is how we prepare for Arkansas, not what people think about you, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Koki Riley of The Advocate.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning, Koki.
We talked a little bit about the running game on Monday, and I was just sort of curious as to how do you coach timing when it comes to the run game? Because obviously it's more than just about toughness. A lot of it's just about, timing with the running backs, timing with the offensive line, timing with the tight ends. So how do you go about teaching that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I think you have to look at, what are you assigning, your preparation time for that. And the past few weeks, we have spent more preparation time, for internal 9-on-7 run, because we have to get better at the timing elements. We have to get better at the run, recognition that is so crucial to our overall effective and efficient running game. So the answer is we're just spending more practice time on it because it's an area that needs to continue to improve.
And Braden Swinson yesterday talked about the 4th-and-1 play where he made that really great tackle behind the line of scrimmage. He said that he didn't really hear a play call on that play since, Ole Miss really heard to the line of scrimmage. Was there a play called in during that?
Yeah, that's pretty typical for Braden. He doesn't get many of the calls right, so that's pretty common. He's a pretty darn good player, but we sometimes have to worry about whether he gets the right play call.
Okay, so there was a call that was in on that play though. Just
yeah, clear. if you remember, Koki, they didn't change personnel on that play, even though it was the goal line, because they wanted to go fast. So that is a play that comes to our green dot, which is our communicator, and he's communicating it to the front. And there's a chance that the edge player, and in this instance, the defensive end, the edge player may not get the exact call, but he knows where to be and what his gap responsibility is in that situation. So the formation would dictate what his alignment and assignment is. But there are times where you just got to get your cleats in the ground and play smart football. And he did.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll go to Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Coach, hello. I wanted to ask you about the rule changes and if there was any that jump out at you as maybe that have been the most challenging or had the most impact, whether it's the injury reports or the in-helmet radio, iPad usage, new transfer portal. I know you guys have a lot to manage as coaches. Which one of those rule changes kind of stands out to you this year as being impactful, most impactful?
I think, quite frankly, the technology piece has worked a lot smoother than I thought it would. And again, it's a first year thing, and I thought there would be a lot more fits and starts and communication errors and things going out. But I got to say, from my perspective, that's gone pretty smoothly. We're going to be dealing with the transfer portal here, in terms of it being a shortened window. So I haven't really felt that yet. That's kind of it. I mean, I think it's been, from a football season, it really hasn't been as impactful of a year relative to the particular rule change. I think it's the nuances, right? It's formations, things of that nature that you have to pay attention to. But the big picture ones have not, on this end, have not affected what we do on a day-to-day.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Next, we'll go to Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Hey, Coach, I noticed on looking over y'all's stats, one thing that jumped out at me is y'all have only allowed 2 sacks through 6 games. I'm just curious, what has made y'all pass protection so good this year? And then how much does it also help having a veteran, older quarterback in Nussmeier? How much has that helped in that regard?
Well, I think it's a combination of 4 starters that have played 3 years together, 2 tackles that are potential first-round draft picks. Brad Davis does a great job, and I don't want to diminish the work that our offensive line coach does, but experience is a great thing to have when it comes to blitz pickup and pressures and working together as a unit. So that's number one. And number two, the quarterback understands how to protect himself. And when the quarterback has a good sense of how to protect himself, those things usually come to fruition.
And then also, I wanted to get your thoughts on Landon Jackson, Arkansas's defensive end. He doesn't have a ton of sacks this year, but it seems like he's playing really well. Just what have you seen on film from him?
I love his motor. I mean, the kid never stops. His second effort is as good as anybody's in the league. He just plays with an extra heartbeat. And as coaches, you love watching kids that play like that. And he's to be commended. I mean, he just plays so hard every single snap.